Hi, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Rosa Galeno. I'm a local chef in Easton, Mass, and this is my shop, Rosa's Food Shop. Food is a passion, but it's a lifestyle with me, and every day I meet exciting people who have terrific stories. And about, I don't know, I think 30 years ago I met some wonderful women talking about basil and how much it upsets them that basil just kind of wimps. I mean, this basil was perfectly primed and perky, I think 2 hours ago, and now look at it. It's kind of like, duped a little bit. So, I'm always trying to extend the life of an herb because herbs are so special to food and to cooking. I came up with this crazy idea that I tested over and over again about how can I procure basil so that it has a longer shelf life. Salt is one of those preserves. Salt, does a lot of bad, it does a lot of good, but I put some salt and layered the basil, and I want to share with you that this basil jar is over a year old, and the salt has now become an infused salt, basil salt, and you could see that the basil is still intact. It hasn't decomposed. And a very good friend of mine who's a foodie, Mr. Ed Hands in town, and a very good friend of mine, Carolyn Cole and Lee Williams in town, are the icons of this town, had many of these jars in their home, and they were always mesmerized. Being farmers and growers and gardeners, they were always mesmerized that we could keep the life of basil ongoing. So I just want to share with you this very special piece of how we preserve basil. This is a year plus old. And also, along with basil, you can also do it with rosemary. And you just put the rosemary down. And this rosemary is over 5 years old, sitting in this basil with salt. In this jar with salt. And when you smell the salt, it smells like rosemary, and you still have rosemary that you can use. You see? It's not that pretty green, but when you cook with rosemary, it changes color anyway. So you could use this salt preserving with many other herbs. The only one it doesn't work with well with is cilantro, parsley, but just about everything else, sage especially. But today we're focusing on basil, and again, look at the texture. It hasn't really gone away. So all we're going to do is take and it has to be a glass jar, not plastic. We're going to sprinkle some salt, if this were a jar, and all you do is take your basil and layer it. This is something that will be in my book. Hopefully I can finish the edits this summer when I pause. So all we're doing is layering the salt with the basil leaves. No stem, I just want the leaf, okay? And we're going to continue to layer. And this, again, I want to remind you, would be in a glass jar such as that. I just want you to see it open. And you continue to do this till your jar is topped. And then you cover enough of the salt so that everything is kind of submerged and you don't see it. And you put it in the fridge. After a few months, you can go open the jar and you will have infused salt and this wonderful dehydrated but still moist basil. And honestly, I have given people some that are like 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, and it's preserved in salt. And people say, Rosa, I can't believe you. I've been doing it my whole life since I met those women 30 years ago. I am still impressed with the result. I hope you'll take a minute to preserve your beautiful herbs and see, let me know how they come out. You can find me at Rosa's Food Shop. You can give me a call, check out my website. And I'm just delighted that you're listening to the story of basil, and it has a life a lot longer than 2 hours. Thanks for listening.
So can I take a taste?
You can absolutely take a taste, yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
You want to try it?
Yeah, try it,
I'm
yeah.
going to try a little bit of the
Taste,
Oh.
look at it, just, right?
Oh, yeah,
This is
it's
over a
like-
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's still hydrated like
Correct,
basil.
because of the salt.
yummy.